So, I watched way too many animated movies this year. Like, seriously, my eyeballs are fried. But hey, that means you don't have to. I've put together a ranking of every 2025 animated movie so far, from the ones I'd rewatch 100 times to the ones I regret spending a single ticket on. Let's get into it. After watching every major animated movie this year, I gotta be honest, I'm putting Smurfs dead last. Yup, number 14 out of 14. Yeah, I said it. This movie just didn't hit the mark for me. And here's why. Right from the jump, there's this weird disconnect between what Smurfs wants to be and what it actually ends up being on screen. The animation, which honestly should be the heart and soul of any animated flick, feels all over the place. Like, one moment you're watching these vibrant, lively blue characters, and then suddenly it just flips to scenes that look like they were pulled straight out of 50 years ago, or awkwardly thrown into real-life Paris settings that totally clash with the vibe. It's jarring, and honestly, kinda unsettling. Then there's the voice cast. Sure, big names, but star power doesn't always mean chemistry. Rihanna as Smurfette? I was honestly excited, but her performance felt kind of flat, like she was just reading lines, not really being the character. And it's not just her. James Corden and John Goodman kind of come across like they're phoning it in. Like, nobody really bought into the story they were telling. Speaking of story, it's loaded, overloaded, and confusing. The plot tries to cram in way too many pop culture jokes and memes that felt super out of touch, leaving almost no room to actually care about the characters or their journey. It felt like a movie made to check boxes, not to tell a meaningful story or create a magical family experience. The animation? Absolutely electric. Like, the expressive 2D style is a full-on love letter to classic cartoons, bursting with color and energy that grabbed me right from frame one. The visuals alone scream master at work. Someone who truly cares about the art and isn't afraid to, push the envelope visually. That's hands down the biggest strength this film has. It looks incredible, and it dares to be different. But, here's where the wheels kind of start to come off. The story? It feels paper-thin, like a fleeting thought stretched painfully into an hour and a half. I was rooting for Bull, our neutering-bound doggo protagonist. But honestly, the character development barely even scratched the surface. And the jokes? Man, they leaned way too hard into crude and explicit territory. Instead of feeling clever or subversive, a lot of the humor just landed like cheap shock value. Like it was shouting, "Look at me, I'm edgy," but forgot to actually be funny. I laughed, yeah, but often it was more out of disbelief than genuine amusement. The pacing dragged in spots, with choppy editing that totally disrupted any chance of smooth narrative flow, making me wonder if this might have, worked better as a TV series episode rather than a full-length movie. Emotionally, Fixed hit some beats, but it never fully delivered the heart I was hoping for. The film is bold to its core, unapologetically adult, and it makes zero effort to sugarcoat anything. Fixed feels like a test, a daring experiment that didn't quite stick the landing, but still deserves props for trying something bold in an often safe landscape. I went in with really high hopes. This is The Witcher, a world packed with grit, mystery, and some seriously complex characters. But by the time the credits rolled, I was left with this weird mix of admiration and disappointment that's honestly kind of hard to shake. Here's the thing. Visually, this movie is a total feast. The underwater scenes? They just shimmer with color and fluidity. And the action? Oh man, the action scenes are exhilarating. The animation here really honors that anime-inspired style we all love. It's got that kind of energy that reminds you why the Witcher franchise has such, fanatical followers. Plus, Doug Cockle's voice as Geralt? Super comforting. It grounds the film with that familiar tone, even when the script, well, let's just say it tries to steer into some pretty murky waters. But, oh boy, the writing. It feels like they just took a sharp left turn away from the source material and never looked back. The story's trying to juggle a monster mystery, political intrigue, and a romance that pretty much falls flat. It's like too much going on, but not enough coherence or emotional weight. Geralt, who's usually the stoic force of nature, ends up feeling surprisingly uninspired here. I get it, I really do. The ambition is there, but the pacing? It stumbles hard. Some moments drag on, while others just zoom by so fast, it feels like the movie can't decide if it wants to thrill you or just fill time. The animation, while vibrant, sometimes falters with faces and expressions, which makes the emotional beats feel kinda hollow. And for a story aiming to explore sacrifice and underwater sirens, The plot turns out surprisingly predictable and, frankly, safe. This movie is a total mixed bag. And honestly, it really earns that middle-of-the-pack spot more than anything else. Okay, first off, the heart of this film really shines when you watch Ed and Edda Euromouse. Yeah, those iconic Europa Park mascots hit the road on their racing adventure. The energy and joy these two bring? Infectious. The story itself is, pretty straightforward. Kind of predictable, if I'm honest, but it has this warm, wholesome vibe that just works, especially if you're watching with family or younger kids. There's something really sweet about how the film quietly empowers Edda without shoving any forced messages down your throat. That natural, chill vibe she has, honestly, that's one of the movie's standout traits. You root for her, you smile, because it just feels genuine and uncomplicated. But, and this is a big but, the film doesn't really stretch its wings beyond that. The narrative kind of stays in second gear for way too long, and sometimes it honestly feels more like a glorified commercial for Europa Park than a fully fleshed out movie. And yeah, those cliched national stereotypes sprinkled around? Total buzzkill. They make the characters feel less like real people and more like mascots, literally. And if you're coming in expecting something deeper, more original, well, it just falls short. The pacing has a few spikes, sure, but other times it feels frantic, like it's cramming too much fun into way too little time without really landing those emotional moments. That said, the animation? Solid, bright, colorful, super smooth, and there's a charm in its simplicity you can't deny. The movie knows its audience, and for kids especially, it's a joyful little ride with enough heart to leave you feeling good by the time the credits roll. It didn't really explode like some big blockbuster, and honestly, there's still this kind of quiet, under-the-radar vibe hanging around it. But sometimes movies like this just need a little time to sink in, and I genuinely felt that this one had something special, even if it doesn't shout for attention. What really hit me, though, was the heart behind the story. Dogman brings this unique blend of humor, quirky charm, and surprisingly earnest moments, things you wouldn't expect from your typical animated cop hero story. The animation style felt fresh enough to be visually appealing without totally overwhelming the narrative, which, honestly, can be a big plus when other films aim way too high on spectacle but kind of miss the emotional mark. And then there's Dogman himself, right? This lovable, goofy energy that's hard not to root for. But yeah, it wasn't without flaws. Sometimes the pacing dragged a bit, and a few character arcs could have used way more depth. Plus, the story leaned on some predictable tropes here and there, making certain moments feel kind of formulaic. I walked into this film expecting, just a straightforward retelling of Jesus' life, but what I actually got was something deeply earnest. Sometimes painfully slow, yeah, I won't lie, but strangely touching in its own way. The animation? Yeah. It's not Pixar-level dazzling or anything. It feels more like something you'd see on a mid-tier kids channel, with character designs that sometimes cross the line into the, awkward zone. That definitely threw me off at times, especially when you're used to that big blockbuster polish. But here's the thing. The heart of the movie really shone through. Its commitment to telling a story with, unwavering sincerity and a powerful message that honestly moved me. And, from what I've seen, many families watching it together too. Now, I won't lie, the pacing drags a bit. Some scenes really needed more emotional spice or dynamic tension, especially for younger viewers who want that adrenaline-packed hero journey. Watching Elio felt like stepping into this beautifully illustrated dream world, like one of those classic Pixar movies where the visuals are just jaw-dropping. Vibrant, colorful, and seriously brimming with imagination. You can tell the artists really poured their hearts into the world building, and that's where this movie truly shines. It's a wild ride through this creative, quirky communiverse that's just a feast for the eyes. The character of Elio himself? Totally endearing and relatable. You just can't help but root for this kid lost between worlds, craving connection and belonging. His innocence and humor kept me hooked, even when the story wasn't exactly lighting the cosmos on fire. But man, the storytelling? That's where the wheels kind of came off for me. The narrative starts strong, but then stumbles into some pretty predictable territory. It feels like it skimmed the surface of heavy stuff, loneliness, grief, but didn't really dive deep, and honestly, that felt like a really missed opportunity. I kept waiting for that emotional gut punch Pixar's known for, and it just never came. The movie wanted to be profound, but didn't quite commit to it. And the pacing? rushed. The whole space adventure aspect, which should have been the heart of the film, felt half-baked, left me wanting way more depth, way more stakes. Add to that, the cast of aliens who could have been a total highlight with their weird, wild personalities, underdeveloped, like bonus characters who didn't really have much to say. It felt messy, probably because there were just too many cooks in the kitchen with all those directors and writers. And man, that warbled the movie's heartbeat. Also, the cartoony visual style, while fun, sometimes made it kind of hard to take the emotional moments seriously. Despite all that, I'm not ready to write off Elio. It tries something bold, especially for Pixar, an original story that's less polished but, heartfelt in its own way. When I watched it, I was completely swept away by the sheer beauty of the animation. Like, the color palette alone, jaw-drop ping. The way the city of 2050's Seoul is depicted, it's vivid, urban, and alive. Like a dreamscape painted with so much love and authenticity, you can almost taste the air. I really felt the warmth of those golden hour lights mixing with cool, atmospheric blues during the more emotional beats. And man, it hit me right in the feels. That's something I think the film absolutely nails, making you feel the world and emotions even when the story itself sometimes feels like it's running on autopilot. Now let me be real though, this movie isn't perfect. The pacing, yeah, it felt kinda uneven at times, like rushing through key moments that honestly begged for more breathing room. And the romance between Nan-young and Jae? While it was sweet, it leaned a bit too heavily on familiar tropes, and I found myself wishing the characters were more fleshed out, especially Jae. He kind of felt like this beautiful sketch missing some important details. It's like the film painted these gorgeous strokes but didn't always fill in the canvas fully, which made it tricky to connect deeply with their relationship at times. Also, the melodrama? Occasionally, it tipped over into saccharine territory, which dulled some of the emotional impact instead of, amplifying it. The emotional core of Lost in Starlight, love and loss sprawling across planets, resonates with this quiet sincerity that few films dare to touch. Plus, its cultural significance as Netflix's first South Korean feature-length animation adds a whole other layer of weight beyond just the screen. So yeah, it's imperfect, sure, but it's a heartfelt, visually stunning experience that reminds us why animation can be such a powerful storytelling medium. I mean, I walked in with big expectations, knowing the legacy Doraemon has, and honestly, it delivers, like in this really refreshingly heartfelt way. But yeah, it's a little flawed too, kind of the perfect example of a movie that's bigger than the sum of its parts, Right from the start, the nostalgia just hits you hard. That classic animation style feels like a warm, fuzzy hug straight from your childhood. And this whole art-centric adventure, it's not just eye candy. It's woven so deeply into the story that you actually find yourself genuinely appreciating creativity, alongside Nobita and the gang. Now, emotionally, it's surprisingly deep. There were moments that honestly caught me off guard, like those intense battle scenes and the ending, which, while maybe not as bittersweet or groundbreaking as I wished, still packs a really sincere punch. But here's where it stumbles a bit. Pacing issues kinda pulled me out of the story, especially with new characters like Izel popping in out of nowhere, without much setup. It felt like an invitation to explore more, which actually made me wish this was just a stepping stone, not the final chapter. Even though it leans on some familiar tropes here and there, it doesn't feel lazy. Instead, it embraces its roots while trying to say something meaningful about art and emotion. So yeah, it might not revolutionize the genre, but it hits enough heartfelt notes, plus tons of nostalgia to stand proudly in the upper half of this year's lineup. This film packs a visceral punch that just sticks with you, and that's exactly why it hits so deeply. First off, the animation style? Oh man, it's absolutely electrifying. Picture this. A gorgeous, blood-soaked blend of Akira's bold lines and Arcane's textured grit, all powered by Unreal Engine. It's not just watching a movie, it feels like you're inside this savage, brutal universe. And the fights? They're stunningly choreographed chaos, soaked in gore and intensity that you rarely see, even in live action. Sure, sometimes the animation feels a bit stiff, like it's still finding its spark, but honestly, the sheer scale and artistry overshadow any of those minor hiccups. I was hooked from the very second it started raining blades and blood. Emotionally? Oh, this movie grabs you by the throat and drags you through the nightmares of warriors from different eras, all tossed into the Predator's crucible. Now, the anthology format could have totally fractured the story, but But nope, it gave us this wild, almost mythic energy. Each tale, a unique battle, a test of survival where the characters feel raw, flawed, and deeply human. They might not hit Oscar-level complexity, but honestly, they don't need to. They stand as symbols of grit and desperation, perfectly fitting for the film's relentless, pulpy sci-fi vibe. Killer of Killers isn't just another Predator flick. Nah, it's a game changer for the franchise. It injects fresh life with bold animation and fearless storytelling. It's intense, it's brutal, it's downright beautiful in its rawness. And honestly, it feels like a love letter to both fans and newcomers, craving something daring and immersive. It's a wild ride, worth every single frame. From the moment you press play, you're just swept up in this kinetic storm of vibrant colors, punchy dialogue, and, oh man, that unmistakable DreamWorks swagger. Like the animation itself is practically buzzing with energy. Now this sequel, it doesn't just recycle the original's charm, it amplifies it. With a style and daring science I honestly did not expect. Sure, yeah, it rockets off into some outer space madness like wild stuff, but instead of feeling lost, it feels like a bold leap, you know? Like the filmmakers trusted us enough to go big, go weird, and it really paid off. But here's what really hits home: the emotional core underneath all those high-octane shenanigans. This isn't just some goofy caper full of fart jokes. Although funny enough, those jokes land more than you'd think and somehow connect with every age group in the theater. It's about transformation, redemption, and what it really means to be bad. You can feel the heart beneath the chaos, especially through characters who are flawed, funny, and honestly, strangely relatable. Now the new villains? Yeah, they don't get the deepest dives, but their presence adds this cool spark to the story, giving our anti-heroes someone worthy to push against. Plus, the dialogue? Sharp as heck. It's got this smooth balance of snark and sincerity that just keeps you hooked. Now, real talk. It's not perfect. Sometimes it juggles a bit too much, and yeah, some tonal shifts feel kinda abrupt, but honestly, those minor hiccups never pull you out completely. Instead, they add to this feeling that you're watching something alive and unpredictable, which, let's be real, is pretty refreshing in a world full of formulaic sequels. So, The Way the Bad Guys 2 blends complex story beats with laugh-out-loud moments and visual flair. It's compelling, it's bold, and it totally sticks with you long after the credits roll. Not just because of the jokes or the animation, but because it dares to be a little more than just a kid's movie. It's a messy, colorful celebration of second chances and, well, bad ideas done brilliantly. Hey, totally unrelated, but I've been working on something I think you'll actually find useful. It's called Doc2Data.online. It's this tool I built that turns PDFs and even scanned or handwritten stuff into perfect spreadsheets. No messy columns, no missing decimals. And here's the cool part. You can actually tell the AI exactly which columns to extract, and it keeps everything perfectly lined up the way you need it. Oh, and it's completely free and ad-free. It's been super handy for me, and I think a lot of you might like it too. Clean, accurate spreadsheets in seconds. Link in the description below. This film isn't just a movie, you know? It's like a spectacular emotional roller coaster wrapped in, honestly, some of the most jaw-dropping animation I have ever seen. From the very second it kicks off, you're hooked. Every single frame is like a work of art. Every fight bursts with this insane energy and precision that only a master studio like Ufotable can pull off. And I gotta say, the visuals alone could have pushed this movie up into the top spots. But what really seals the deal? How it just connects on a deep, emotional level. Like you don't just watch this movie, you feel it. The weight of every character's sacrifice, the crushing tension during those battles, and yeah, those heart-wrenching flashbacks that, maybe slow the pace a little, but when they hit, oh man, they hit like a ton of bricks. Now, I'll be real with you. The pacing, not totally smooth. Like, sometimes the story jumps around with flash forwards and backstory recaps right in the middle of the action, and yeah, the runtime feels long when you're glued to the screen for almost 3 hours. But honestly, those are just minor nitpicks when you get how emotionally invested this film makes you. It's like being right in the eye of a storm, where every character, even if they get just a little screen time, adds layers to the whole saga. Infinity Castle is the perfect storm. High-stakes climax meets character-driven storytelling, carrying the weight of a trilogy's opening act, but still feeling cinematic and complete. This isn't just a film, it's a cultural moment, a new gold standard for anime filmmaking. The emotional punches, the technical brilliance, It's reshaped what anime movies can be in 2025. K-pop Demon Hunters totally smashed its way into my heart this year. Honestly, this movie isn't just some regular animated feature. It's like a full-throttle celebration of K-pop culture, wrapped up in this insane supernatural action. Seriously, a vibrant, electric feast for your senses that you just can't look away from. From the very first moment those neon-lit streets and that fluid, jaw-dropping animation started cascading across the screen, I was hooked. It's so rare to see a film that not only dazzles visually, but also carries this unique cultural heartbeat. And honestly, K-pop Demon Hunters absolutely nails that fusion perfectly. Now, what really sets this film apart for me? It's the soundtrack. Like, every single song just bursts with energy and soul, carving out this emotional landscape that sticks with you long after the credits finish rolling. I found myself humming those original tracks the next day, especially Soda Pop, and feeling genuinely moved by how the music connected to the story. The singing, the choreography, the beats, they all amplify the narrative's punch, making every fight scene and emotional moment hit bigger, brighter, and more alive than I ever expected. It's like the soundtrack is the movie. And oh man, watching fans worldwide embrace it, cosplays, sing-alongs, everything, that just shows how deeply this film resonates. Okay, now, do all the characters hit every perfect note? Not completely. Rumi shines as the emotional core, like, she's amazing. But yeah, some of her squad, like Mira and Zoe, could have had a bit more fleshing out. K-pop Demon Hunters honors everything it did extraordinarily well. The stunning animation that basically redefines the genre, the pulse-pounding and heartfelt music, and that unapologetic celebration of K-pop culture. Nezha 2 isn't just, another sequel. It's a full-blown phenomenon. That's not just because of the jaw-dropping visuals or the record-smashing box office numbers. Although, honestly, those alone are enough to blow your mind. But what really, skyrockets Nezha 2 to the top is how it completely hurled me into this whirlwind of emotions, culture, and pure cinematic energy like nothing else this year. From the very first action scene, you're hit with this relentless visual feast. The animation? Seriously, next-level stuff. I'm talking vibes straight from Ghibli and DreamWorks, but with this unique Chinese flair that's vibrant, alive, and so meticulously crafted that every single detail feels intentional. Watching those battle scenes, I was literally on the edge of my seat, heart-pounding, caught up in a story where myth meets modernity with such spectacular intensity. It's so rare for a film to mix high-octane drama with genuine emotional beats so seamlessly. Nezha 2 doesn't just show you action, it makes you feel it deep down. Now, yeah, some folks say the pacing drags a bit here and there, or that Nezha's character development could have gone deeper. And, I get that. But for me, his journey, while kind of subtle, is powerful. Nezha isn't this flawless hero. He's flawed, fiery, and wrestling with his identity and destiny in ways that felt seriously relatable, especially wrapped up in such a rich cultural tapestry. The emotional core of the film, this struggle to break free from fate to change your world, man, it had me genuinely moved. It's not just a story about battles won or lost, but about personal transformation and hope. That emotional punch, it sticks with you. What really seals Nezha 2 as the crown jewel of 2025 is its cultural weight and the ripple effect it's created globally. This isn't just a movie, it's a bold statement. A cinematic shout that Chinese animation can stand shoulder to shoulder with Hollywood's best. And more importantly, tell a story that hits home for audiences worldwide. So yeah, while Nezha 2 isn't perfect, it's a cinematic marvel that hooked me emotionally and visually like no other this year.